listening to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and every week we bring you news and information you can use on your next real estate transaction. If you've got a real estate question, you can call us here at the studio at 281-882-8088, and we'll be happy to answer your questions on the air. If you're on Twitter, you can also tweet us your questions using hashtag HRER. Earlier in the show, we were talking about energy efficiency, and I want to carry that over a little bit and talk with Clayton Farmer, who is here. I'm sorry.
I am here, actually.
Who is here in the studio with me, and we are going to talk about energy efficiency and some of the things that are being done to ensure energy efficiency in your home, especially when you're doing new construction, when you're purchasing new construction, because there are a lot of builders out there who are saying that they have a green product, but we want to tell you the way that you can verify that, because you always want to verify that it's what it is, whether it's Energy Star or LEED home, what type of home it is. So, all right. So, welcome to the show, Clayton.
Thanks for having me, Shannon.
So, tell us about the different types of certifications there are for energy efficiency.
For energy efficiency, obviously, there's certifications to the current code in the state of Texas, which is the 2009 IECC, unless you're in a municipality that's currently under the 2012, which, real quick, the codes are actually very stringent as compared to what they have been in the past, so Texas should have its props for adopting some of these more stringent codes. But statewide, it's the 2009. Now, when you get into green, there's programs such as the Energy Star program, which has historically been a energy program, but is now more considered green because it incorporates water and indoor air quality, so forth and so on. There's Greenbelt Gulf Coast, which is a regional program operated by the Greater Houston Builders Association, and its code is the ICC 700, which is the only green building program in the United States that is ANSI approved, or American National Standard certified. LEED for Homes, which has been around for quite some time. That's probably most people are familiar with the LEED brand. That's all about green energy efficiency, indoor air quality, so forth and so on. Other programs that are out, not quite as brandful, if you will, as some of these others, and are some of the ones
still good quality though, or
not necessarily, because some of the other programs out there don't always require third-party verification. Green program doesn't mean squat unless you have a third party who is unbiased come in, evaluate, test, perform, and make sure that the design of the house actually meets the performance standards that the program requires. That's the key. Quality assurance, third-party designations, and third-party validations. So programs that do not have that are worthless.
So if it isn't documented, if you don't get any kind of paperwork on it, then you should ask a lot of questions about it.
You absolutely should ask a lot of questions, because that's technically in violation of Federal Trade Commission guidelines. If you get on a Google search and look at Federal Trade Commission green guides, you'll find lots of interesting things that say if you're going to claim the environmental impact or performance of a particular product, then you must have the documentation to substantiate the claim. Or else the Federal Trade Commission will probably crawl up your rear end that you don't like.
So tell us, have you seen any homes where the builders have said they're certified and then they start having problems?
Absolutely.
So can you tell us about some of those?
As much as I can. Some of them are private details, and obviously some of them are in litigation at the moment. But
what kind of things are you seeing?
I see a lot of things, and homeowners call us to do some forensics, and we see a lot of things where they bought this energy efficient home that was done with energy efficient products, but from the looks of it, they weren't installed right, and they did not meet the code requirements in the state of Texas. Things were not tested. Things were not done according to best practice, best industry practice, let alone manufacturer specifications or the current building code. And a lot of the response that we get in these areas, and they are almost always typically in areas that are unincorporated or in county jurisdictions where there is very little or, if any, code enforcement, which means that the builder actually has a responsibility to ensure compliance of the code himself, according to Texas Health and Safety Code. So those areas where we get these issues are where maybe some corners were cut, But we have to take that with a grain of salt because nobody arrives at the front door and goes, let's see how we can screw this house up today.
Right.
A lot of it comes from good, honest people trying to do a good, honest work and just not knowing any better.
Right.
And then sometimes you have the let's cut corners, let's save pricing, things like that. And it just doesn't work right.
Right.
And, we get to go in and help consumers out to see what's going wrong in their house and give them the right info.
And when you're building a green home, a lot of the key to it is getting it all green and working together, because you can't have good air quality if you don't have good windows. You can't have...
It's a holistic approach.
Right. The whole thing has to come together.
It's gone are the days where, a house is compartmentalized, okay? A house is a whole home with the cardiovascular system, HVAC system, with occupant comfort controls, with thermal controls from your envelope, proper flashing techniques to keep water out of the house, durability strategies, guidelines to help the occupants learn how to maintain their home properly. These are all things that need to work together. And it's very important that if you got to kind of think of it. You think of it like a good balanced equation, okay? You got occupants and their activities on one side, you got the house on the other side. And if you over-accentuate one particular part of the equation, it becomes out of balance. And the occupants will either suffer or maybe learn to ignore certain things until it gets to a point where it's irreversible. So you got to learn to keep that equation in balance, and keeping a house properly designed keeps that equation in balance.
Do you feel like green homes are more expensive?
Absolutely not. In fact, it should be the other way around. I was a home builder myself for 16 years, did everything from field to VP. And a green program forces the builder to evaluate his processes, review his takeoffs, control his material waste. And if a program is implemented correctly, and not just, I don't know, just whatever, if the builder does it correctly, then he will actually save money in the process. He may not on the first time, because the first time he's going to screw up once or twice. Got to give the guy a practice run. But going forward, he should save money. Green programs force that accountability, force a process and a structure, and he should save money in that process if he does it correctly. So all this crap about green homes are more expensive, no, it's all malarkey.
What about some of the features, though, like solar, using solar panels for the air conditioning, or geothermal air conditioning? Are those more expensive than your traditional
Yes, they are.
units?
Yes, they are, and they're more expensive to maintain. But they are very efficient. A lot of the things that you can do for green, like solar and geothermal, wonderful ideas, very efficient, great technology. Is it necessarily the silver bullet that makes a difference between a $250 electric bill and a $50? No, not necessarily. Again, the house is got to be designed to work all together. And you can have a very average house and then put in a $30,000 geothermal system, and you might see a few bucks reduction because the house is average. You can't put, and if anybody has these vehicles, I'm sorry, but you can't put a Prius engine into a Corvette. It's still going to be a Prius, okay? So you got to keep that in mind. If you want to go with solar and geothermal, then the envelope and everything else in that house has to be at that level.
And if you thought, if you bought your house years ago and you thought it was a green built home, and now you're not sure, you don't have any paperwork on it, how can you go back and check and see, was it ever built as a green home? Is that documented anywhere? Is there any way to find out? Yes, absolutely. If you know what it was certified to, like Energy Star or Greenbelt Gulf Coast or LEED, there's obviously registration databases that can pull that information to show the certification. Okay. So it's just a matter of contacting that applicable organization, whether it be the EPA, and we all love talking to the EPA, or whether it be the GHBA for the Greenbelt Gulf Coast or the USGBC for LEED for Homes. They can pull that information. All right, very good. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us this Sunday afternoon. We appreciate it very much. And absolutely. You're welcome. If you've got a real estate question, again, you can call us at 281-882-8088, and we'll be back on next week. If you missed any of today's show, you can always catch us online at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com.